Hello. Today we're going to be looking at how to generate images using random AI prompts. So up here you can see that we have a prompt suggestion. If you click random, it'll actually use this prompt suggestion. Let me just go ahead and quickly overview some things here. So first of all, this is a normal prompt. You can type anything you want to in here. For example, one girl, room, portrait, pink hair, onion town. It's just a normal prompt. But most of the time you're going to be using these. So let's see here. You have what's called dynamic prompts. So what are those? Dynamic prompts are individual scripts that will randomly assemble a prompt. So what's a full dynamic prompt? Basically, it assembles a whole complete prompt. So let's see, for example, if I were to do landscape, it inserts it up here. Since this isn't a full dynamic prompt, it means I generally don't have to do anything else. That's it. We're done. I can, if I want to, add extra stuff. For example, I can add cliff, hill, valley, river. This just ensures that all these keywords are guaranteed to be there if I really want to. Or I can just leave it to chance and see whatever landscape decides to give off. Okay, so what else? So all of these, every one of these individually is a complete full prompt. This is a user-submitted prompt. We've only got one so far. So what are lists? Well, lists is a long text file where every single entry is on a new line. It's just a basic text file. For example, this is a list of a lot of different kind of weathers. This is a list of a lot of different cities. The benefit of a list will take one entry out of a list. So size will pick a random size from a list of sizes. If I were to click here, this will pick a random weather from a list of weathers. Expansions are also text files, except unlike lists, these text files are often extremely small and short. Basically, an expansion is just the entire text file is just literally dumped into the prompt. So, for example, if I click rays, so rays are God ray, light shaft, volumetric lighting. When you insert rays, what you're doing is inserting this string of text. It's just simpler. It's like an alias for a string of text. What's cool about expansions is expansions can actually contain dynamic prompts, and expansions can contain lists. So it's a great way to just add a specific kind of thing. So flower pick, for example, does exactly that. A random flower, a random flower, a random artist. And I didn't show you lists. So let's give you an example of lists. This is a list of weathers. Clear weather, overcast, partly cloudy, cloudy, rainy, all these different kind of weathers, right? So when you do weather, like I said before, you are doing that. So here we go. We can do this. We can do weather, rays. This will insert a random weather, and it will do the rays. So what are partial dynamic prompts? You can probably infer what they mean. You already know what a dynamic prompt is. It uses a script to build a prompt. However, a partial dynamic prompt only makes a partial prompt. These generally do not do very well on their own. You typically have to have other stuff with the prompt. We could do crystal, and then we can do, how about castle? There you go. We have a crystal. We'll insert random crystal stuff. Like, for example, crystal floor, gemstones, crystal walls. It tries to add a lot of crystal keywords to crystallize something. And then we can insert after it an actual proper something, in this case, castle. So what are V1 dynamic prompts? These are technically the very first set of dynamic prompts I made. The code was a bit more messier. The way I did it was completely different. But I did leave them in for compatibility reasons. I think they're kind of fun to play around with. You can get an idea. I think landscape actually was probably, I think, the very first dynamic prompt I ever made. So landscape obviously has changed a lot. For example, the older landscapes didn't add hills or valleys or rivers or anything to it, but the newer landscape does. So I find that the older landscape often comes out looking more like a man-made landscape that someone took a photograph of, and rather the newer landscape looks more like someone went out into just a random part of the world and took a picture. I left these in here not just for people who wanted the older versions, but also they can be interesting to use on their own. All right. The last one is features that you can activate in the program. One of them is called Salt. Salt is a whole video on its own. In short, it just adds a random 10-digit number to your prompt. The reason why you would do that is a whole nother video. It's down here below because you're probably not going to use it that often. It can be used for some small variations in the prompt, and it can be used for animation. For dynamic prompts, you add hashtag and the dynamic prompt. For example, hashtag landscape. For lists, use curly braces. Artists, or verb, or noun, right? For expansions, use angled brackets. For example, my favorite of all rays. Let's pick something. Let's do vehicle. Why not? Okay. So, if you don't change any settings, then it's just going to do a typical 512 image. Let's do generate. This is a pretty cool image. Let's look at the prompt. So you can see it added a vehicle. The vehicle type is tram. Added all this like energetic mood, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it will randomly emphasize or de-emphasize keywords. It decided to double emphasize modern, Italian architecture, an automatic 1111 advanced prompt feature. What this means is it will insert the windy keyword, but only after 2 steps into generating the image. In other words, step 1 will not have this keyword, but step 2, as soon as it hits that number, will suddenly get this keyword. Here's another advanced prompt feature by Automatic 1111. It will take this selective color and golden ratio and alternate these on every single step. So step 1, selective color. Step 2, golden ratio. Step 3, selective color, etc. As I mentioned in the other video, you have the actual prompt about right here. Then you have the FX, which is added most of the time, and that is right here. And then you have the artist keywords. In this example, it chose not to add artist keywords. They are randomly added. That's really it. That's just the generation basics of how to generate a web program. Obviously, more videos to come. Thank you for watching. Bye.